Imagine you are an ancient soldier. You have one small spear, a tiny amount of courage, and one very bad life decision. In front of you is an elephant wearing armor. You throw the spear. It hits. Then it bounces off. And the elephant looks personally offended. Then the elephant takes one step forward. The ground shakes. The soldier takes one step backward. Then two. Then every soldier behind him suddenly remembers an urgent appointment very far away. This is why armies brought elephants to war, not because they were polite, but because fear moves faster than swords. Long before tanks, engines, and metal war machines, humans looked at the biggest land animal they knew and thought, what if we put a soldier on top of that? It sounds ridiculous now. But on an ancient battlefield, where most people fought on foot, an elephant looked less like an animal and more like a moving wall with a mood problem. The idea became especially serious in ancient India, where elephants were already powerful symbols of kings, forests, and strength. They were useful in peace, too. They could move heavy things, clear paths, and intimidate anyone who thought a normal horse was impressive. So when kingdoms built armies, elephants did not stay in the background. But you cannot just point at an elephant and say, go win the war. Elephants had to be captured, trained, fed, trusted, and guided by a mahout, the rider who knew the animal better than anyone. The real weapon was not only the elephant, it was the years of training that made a 5-ton animal listen in the middle of chaos. Then, armies made the elephant look even scarier. They added thick cloth, armor on the head, bells, banners, and sometimes a wooden tower on its back. From that tower, soldiers could throw spears or shoot arrows. So now the enemy was not just fighting an elephant. They were fighting an elephant with upstairs seating. Here is the trick. Elephants did not need to hit everyone to win. Sometimes they only needed to arrive. Imagine a horse that has never smelled an elephant. It hears the trumpet, sees the giant body, feels the ground shake, and says, "Actually, I resign." Cavalry could panic before the elephant even touched them. For foot soldiers, it was worse. A shield wall works great against men. It works badly against something that weighs as much as several carts and does not care about your confidence. Spears could help, but if the line broke for 1 second, the elephant did not politely step around people, it went through them. In 326 BCE, Alexander the Great fought King Porus near the Hydaspes River, in what is now the region of Pakistan. Porus had war elephants. Alexander's men had seen plenty of danger, but elephants were a different kind of problem. They were not just soldiers. They were moving obstacles with tusks. Alexander's army adapted. Instead of standing there like a snack tray, they opened gaps, moved around the elephants, and attacked from safer angles. That is the scary part about war elephants. The first time, they look unbeatable. The second time, smart soldiers start asking, where is the weak spot? Then the elephants traveled into Mediterranean warfare. In 280 BCE, King Pyrrhus of Epirus brought elephants against the Romans in Italy. For many Roman soldiers, this was their first time seeing one in battle. Imagine training your whole life to fight men. Then the enemy shows up with a giant animal wearing furniture. One brave soldier probably thought, maybe if I throw this hard enough. He threw the spear. It bounced off armor. Another soldier tried, bounce. A third soldier saw both bounces and quietly switched careers in his mind. The elephant kept walking, and the battlefield suddenly felt much smaller. But elephants were not cheat codes. They were expensive. They ate constantly. They needed water, space, expert handlers, and calm. And battle is not calm. Battle is shouting, arrows, drums, smoke, and people making terrible decisions very loudly. If an elephant panicked, the problem did not stay on the enemy's side. A scared elephant could turn around. And when your own giant weapon starts running back through your own army, nobody says, good strategy. They say, why is our victory stepping on us? So armies invented tricks. They made gaps. They used loud noises. They threw missiles from the sides. Some ancient stories even say people tried using squealing pigs to frighten elephants, which sounds less like military science and more like history losing a bet. But the point was simple: break the elephant's focus, and the giant becomes chaos. Then comes the famous one, Hannibal. In 218 BCE, he marched from Carthage toward Rome and took elephants across rivers in the Alps. That sounds epic until you remember elephants are not mountain goats. Snow, cliffs, hunger, and cold turned the journey into one of history's most dramatic bad travel plans. Hannibal's elephants became legendary because the journey was almost impossible. The image is unforgettable. Tiny humans, giant animals, icy mountains, and Rome waiting below. Even when elephants did not decide the whole war, they created fear before the battle began. News traveled faster than armies. He is coming, and he brought elephants. But Rome learned. At Zama in 202 BCE, Hannibal had many elephants in front of his army. Scipio, the Roman commander, prepared lanes between his soldiers. When the elephants charged, the Romans opened the paths, blasted noise, and let the elephants run through instead of stopping them head on. That is a nightmare for the army using them. You spent years training the living tank. You fed it more than a village. You marched it across half the world. Then the enemy steps aside and your expensive terror machine just runs past the people it was supposed to smash. So why keep using them? Because when they worked, they really worked. An elephant could break a line, scare horses, carry archers, crush barriers, and make a king look unstoppable. In an age before engines, gunpowder, and armored vehicles, a war elephant was the closest thing to a boss fight. The real damage was often psychological. Soldiers could handle danger if it looked familiar. A sword is familiar, an arrow is familiar. A 5-ton animal screaming through dust while a tiny guy throws spears from a tower on its back? That is not familiar. That is your brain asking for a refund. There is a darker truth here. Elephants did not choose human wars. Humans turned their strength, intelligence, and size into a weapon. The same animal that could move logs, cross rivers, and help build a kingdom was also pushed into noise, pain, and panic. History can be impressive and sad at the same time. Eventually, war changed. Soldiers became more organized. Weapons became stronger. Gunpowder and cannons made giant animals too vulnerable. Elephants did not vanish from human work, but their battlefield glory faded. The living tank was replaced by actual machines that did not need bananas, rivers, or emotional support. So why did armies bring elephants to war? Because for a while, nothing on the battlefield looked more terrifying, more royal, or more impossible to stop. They were weapons, towers, symbols, and disasters with legs. And if you were the tiny soldier facing one, history did not feel like a lesson. It felt like this: spear, bounce, silence, and then the sudden realization that retreat is actually a very intelligent strategy.